The fluorescent lights of the Metropolitan General ER hummed with a sterile, relentless energy that night. To most, it's just background noise. But to me, a fresh face on the floor at 23, it sounded like a ticking clock. My scrubs felt heavy, like a suit of armor I hadn't quite earned yet. Every siren in the distance made my heart skip. It was 3 a.m., that thin hour where the line between life and death is just a frantic series of chest compressions. I was restocking gauze when the double doors burst open. The sound silenced the room. A team of paramedics rushed in, their faces grim, surrounding a gurney that seemed to carry the weight of a dozen battlefields. On it lay a man, his chest heaving, his silver hair matted with blood. Colonel Robert Vance, multiple shrapnel wounds, massive blood loss. The medic yelled. I felt a surge of adrenaline. My hands trembled for a split second, but as I reached for his pulse, something shifted. It wasn't just another trauma. There was an aura around him, a gravity that commanded respect, even as he hovered on the brink of death. I took his hand, and his grip was surprisingly strong. I whispered to him, "I'm here, Colonel. Just stay with me." As we moved him to the trauma bay, the scale of his injuries hit me. His uniform was torn, but the insignias of his service still caught the light. He had been a leader of men in the desert, but here, he was fighting a lonely war against the dark. I stayed by his head, watching his eyes. For a brief second, his eyelids flickered, and a piercing blue gaze met mine. It felt like he was reading my soul, searching for a reason to stay. In that moment, the chaos of the ER faded. It was just him and me in a silent pact of survival. I didn't know then that this night would change everything I thought I knew about courage. I watched the monitors beep, a digital heartbeat that was the only thing keeping the room from collapsing. I saw the scars on his arms, old stories of bravery etched into his skin. As I cleaned the grit from his forehead, I realized I wasn't just his nurse. I was a witness to a warrior's most difficult beginning. The struggle continued through the deepest part of the night. Every time his blood pressure dipped, I felt a phantom pain in my own chest. I noticed a small photograph tucked into his torn jacket. A woman and 2 children, their smiles frozen in peace. It was a reminder of what was at stake. The doctors managed to slow the bleeding, their faces tight with exhaustion. "He's a fighter," the surgeon muttered. I just nodded. I knew he was more than that. He was a monument of resilience. As the sun began to peek over the horizon, casting long shadows across the floor, the immediate danger passed. I stayed there, even after my shift ended, unable to pull myself away from the gravity of his presence. Before we continue with this incredible story of honor and healing, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever encountered someone whose mere presence changed your perspective on life? Tell us your story in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. The recovery process was a slow, grueling climb up a mountain that seemed to grow taller with every step I took by his side. Colonel Vance remained in the intensive care unit for weeks, his body a complex map of healing and medical hardware. Even when I wasn't assigned to his ward, I found my feet carrying me toward his room. There was something about the way he looked out the window, his eyes searching the clouds for a peace only he understood, that pulled at my soul. He rarely spoke. When he did, his voice was a gravelly whisper, but his silence wasn't cold. It was the silence of a man who had heard the roar of the world and now chose his words with the precision of a marksman. I started bringing him coffee, the real stuff from the cafe across the street, and I'd just sit there during my breaks. We didn't need to relive that first night. The memory lived in the quiet space between us, a shared secret from the trenches of the ER. I told him things I hadn't told anyone. My dream of being a flight nurse, the tiny town I came from, and the fears I usually hid behind my professional smile. He listened with an intensity that made me feel seen for the very first time. One afternoon, as the golden hour light flooded his room and turned the sterile walls into something warm, the colonel finally shared a piece of his world with me. He spoke of the men he had lost, the crushing weight of command, and the bridge he was trying to build between the warrior he was and the man the war had left behind. "You have a gift, Sarah," he said, his voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. "You don't just heal wounds. You hold the light for those of us trapped in the dark." I felt a lump in my throat so thick I couldn't speak. In that moment, I I realized my calling wasn't just about medicine or monitors, it was about the raw human connection that allows healing to take root in a broken spirit. The Colonel was teaching me that true strength isn't the absence of pain, but the courage to remain kind despite it. Our bond grew into a bridge between generations, built on mutual respect and the quiet understanding of what it means to serve others before yourself. As the days turned into weeks, I watched the Colonel regain his strength, his movements becoming more fluid, though still marked by the shadows of his injuries. He started walking the hallways, and I was usually the one he leaned on, his hand resting lightly on my arm for balance. The entire staff noticed the change in him. He carried an innate authority that made everyone stand a little straighter when he passed. He became a silent source of inspiration for the other patients, a living testament to the power of human will. I felt a surge of pride every time he took an extra step, knowing I had played a part in his journey, but also knowing he had played an even larger part in mine. He showed me the face of true leadership, not the kind that shouts orders, but the kind that leads by example even when the path is covered in thorns. I found myself becoming more confident, my movements more certain, my voice more steady because of him. This story of resilience reminds us that no matter how far we fall, there is always a way back. It's amazing to see how these stories of hope can travel across the globe. We're curious to know, from which part of the world are you watching us today? Please let us know in the comments. We'd love to welcome you. The time for his discharge was approaching, a moment I both longed for and dreaded with all my heart. I knew he needed to go back to his life, to that family in the photograph he kept by his bed, but I knew the hospital would feel hauntingly empty without his presence. We spent our last few sessions talking about his future. He spoke of quiet mornings, of teaching his grandkids how to fish, and of being a husband and a father without the constant weight of a mission on his shoulders. I realized then that the man who had arrived as a broken warrior was leaving as a man who had finally found peace within himself. It was a transformation more profound than any medical miracle I had ever witnessed in my short career. On his final night under my care, he looked at me with those piercing blue eyes and whispered, "I won't forget the girl who held my hand when the world went dark." The morning of his departure arrived with a crispness in the air that felt like a new beginning. I was busy at the nurse's station when I heard a rhythmic clicking on the linoleum, the sound of polished boots. I looked up, and my breath caught in my throat. There he was, Colonel Robert Vance, standing perfectly tall in his full Marine Corps dress blue uniform. The medals on his chest gleamed under the harsh lights, each one a story of sacrifice. He looked like a monument. The entire ER, usually a place of chaotic noise and shouting, slowly fell into a haunting silence. Doctors stopped mid-sentence, janitors leaned on their mops, and even the families in the waiting room turned to look. He didn't say a word. He walked to the center of the floor, caught my eye, and slowly raised his hand to his brow in a crisp, unwavering salute. It wasn't just a salute to a nurse. It was a salute to the spirit of service that keeps this world turning when everything else falls apart. I stood there, tears blurring my vision, feeling the weight of that honor settle into my bones. To prove you've walked this entire journey of honor with us and the Colonel, I have a small favor to ask. Our keyword for today is valor. If you could be so kind, please type it in the comments to show you stayed until the very end. It means the world to us to see your support.